Hey, look, if you don't know who he is by now, you will never know. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Hope. Listen to this. This is the fun part. I like hearing them sit down. That's the good part. How are you? All right?
I'm pretty good, but I'd like to take this audience with me.
Oh, yes?
That's pretty nice.
You can't. They're ours. We keep them locked up all week. We only let them out on Mondays and Thursdays. That's about it. You know?
Right.
You got in a little golf today. Weather hasn't been friendly to you.
Well, I went out there. It looked so good looking out of the hotel window.
Yeah.
And I went out there to Royal Melbourne, and I was blown off the course. God, that was something. You'd play one hole and be blown back two.
It's also a great excuse if you got a bad slice or something, you know?
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. Out
What do you
playing out
shoot
there.
these days for the golfers that may be interested?
Well, I don't like to talk about my golf. Actually, if it was a prize fight, they'd stop it. No, but I enjoyed it out there. It was nice. This Jim Moore out there I played with, and he gave me a tip that took about 8 shots off my game. Told me to cut out one of the par threes.
Yes. All right. The eyes.
That'd be my room.
No, the eyes. Remember the eyes. Do you? Somebody told me you always look to try to shoot your age.
Yeah, and I think I'll do it if I live to be 115.
We had a golfing buddy of yours on Monday night, by the way, Dean Martin.
Yeah, did he know it?
Did what?
Did he know it?
Yeah, he knew he was on, yeah. We had to tell him a couple of times, but basically he knew he was on. You play golf with him at all?
I play once in a while with him. You know, he played in our tournament. He had a tournament over in Tucson, you know, for a long while. But one year he made a mistake and went to Phoenix, so they canceled him.
Where's your tournament?
My tournament's Palm Springs.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is your second home.
Desert Classic, yeah.
That warm weather must be appealing to you. You got off from what I understand, now tell me if I'm wrong, you got off the plane after traveling from overseas, went up to Queensland, and you and Dolores got off the plane and went right to the golf course.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was a mistake, too. And 2 nurses carried us in. That flight was something. You know, 15 hours there. You can't realize where your underwear can creep up in that 15 hours on that thing.
But you must be used to those long trips and things. My God,
I'm used to this one, and I'll tell you got to be very careful with the stewardesses, I found out, because going 15 hours without food is something, I'll tell you. And especially having the safety belt slapped around your mouth real tight.
I can't believe you're sitting here. I'm going out of my mind. You were born in England, which probably a lot of people know. Many probably don't know.
I was born there, and I left when I was very young because I knew there was very little chance of me becoming king. I know I could go across the channel to Denmark and be queen, but I think that operation hurts. Anyway, I go back every year. We have a tournament over there.
You've met the Queen.
Oh, yes. I met the Queen, sure.
Command performances, things like that?
Yeah, many of them, yeah. And she was over visiting us, you know, this past year.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we showed her some weather. They thought they had rain in London.
Yeah.
She went back to London by high tide. God, it's awful weather while she was there.
Have you met the entire royal family, or just the Queen? Mm-hmm. You have?
Yeah.
Yes. Private dinner, things like that?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate with them. They're very nice.
Yes. You're going to keep that all to yourself, are you? You're not going to tell me anything?
No,
that's all right.
It sounds like it sounds like you're bragging about it, but we were invited when we were playing the Palladium I did a thing for the Prince Phillip, the Wildlife Society.
Yeah.
Big affair at the Café de Paris with Humperdinck and Tom Jones and a lot of people. And there were 18 members of royalty there. It looked like a live chess game. I've never seen anything like that. We've always, Bing and I played, he has a playing fields benefit over there too, where he gets these playing fields for the kids, you know. And we played golf for that a couple of times. So we became quite friendly, and then I've done a couple of command performances for him. And so when I played him the last time, I invited them back down to see the show, and they invited us down to Windsor Castle for lunch. And which was
Fair enough exchange.
Yeah, that's
Which was the more expensive ticket?
Nice exchange, and you didn't have to tip anybody. That's the time.
Yes. Well, listen. When did most people? I have a reason for asking you this because I want to show them something. A lot of acting in movies, a lot of comedy things, and little light hoofing things that you did, of course, in the road pictures with Bing and all of that. But where did the hoofing start? Was that what you did first? You started as a dancer?
No, I started dancing when I first started in show business. Yeah.
Was that to survive, or?
Yeah, partly.
Yeah.
Partly for food.
Yeah.
But I inherited a voice from my mother, who was a concert singer, and then a friend of mine started taking tap dancing lessons in Cleveland, Ohio. So I said, "Where'd you get that?" So I went down and taught. I learned for about a year and a half, and then the teacher decided to go to California for his health, so I took the school over and I taught for a while. You know, and so I had cards made. Leslie Hope will teach you how to dance. That was my name in those days.
Leslie Towns.
Leslie Towns Hope. You know it all, don't you?
Well, where did Towns come from?
That's my mother's name.
Oh, I see. The maiden name.
Davis Towns.
Oh, lovely. Yes. And there was an early dancing thing too. Weren't you with a partner or something early in a piece?
Yeah, I started in show business. I had a girl in Cleveland that I worked with. She was my first sweetheart, and I wanted to take her on the road. And I said to her mother, I said, "I'd like to take Mildred down the road." She said, "I got to see the act first." And she came out. And she came out to this theater and saw Mildred and I do the act, and she said, "My daughter's not going on the road in that act." And about 35 years later, Mildred came to the NBC studios in Burbank and saw one of my shows, and she came backstage. She said, "If my mother was alive today, I'd slap her right in the mouth."
It's funny, though, the way things take you around. Talking about the hoofing, I have I have a tape that I keep. It's called like a keeper tape, where I put special things on it. There's Abbott and Costello's, who's on first, and there's various and sundry other comedy routines and dance routines. Yeah. One of my favorites, and actually your office was kind enough to send this to us, which I was really thrilled about. When you did Eddie Foy, a very famous show business personality, for people who may not know, was Eddie Foy and the Seven Little Foys.
Yeah.
And you played him. This either he was a sex maniac or something, had all these children. I don't know what that was all about. But
great actor.
But a great actor and a great dancer.
Yeah.
And you played Eddie Foy in this movie.
Right.
And you requested, there's a little vignette piece, I understand, by, you were supposed to be Eddie Foy, and James Cagney, who had already played George M. Cohan, was to join this picture as George M. Cohan.
No, there was a scene at the Friars Club in New York, and he was playing Cohan, and we got together and did this dance because they were honoring me at that time, and we got together at the Friars to entertain the guests of the Friars. That's how this act came out.
Okay, I want you to see some really did you request him for this part?
I didn't request him. The director got him, Mel Shavelson.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled about it because Cagney was, was such a great guy. And we worked very hard on this routine, about 4 weeks in a dance studio. And I don't believe I could dance that good. I still don't believe.
Oh, man, I think it's the best I have ever seen you.
Me.
I'll tell you something else, too. How long did you rehearse this, you say?
About 4 weeks.
4 weeks. We timed it out. You know, it's less than 3 minutes of film. People never realize that, do they? 4 weeks of rehearsal.
It goes pretty fast. But there's 3 routines in there, It's where he dances, I dance, and then we do the double dance. I don't know what you have.
We got the double dance. We got the one of the two of you together, and I'll tell you, you're in for a thrill. If you haven't seen this movie, you haven't seen this, watch this man in action. This is the best I've ever seen Hope, and Cagney, too. Take a look at this here.
I know every routine you ever did. I did them first.
And I did them right. Little Mary.
That's great stuff, boy, I'll tell you. Look at that. You can spend the rest of your life never do anything. Never do me. That's really something. It's so exceptional, honestly. It's just amazing. You must be thrilled with being able to have it. You say you used that on other things, too, have you, that clip?
Well, there's two more pieces of that. You know, Bing and I danced in every road picture.
Yeah.
We did a soft shoe, we did some kind of eccentric dance, and he was surprising how well he could dance.
Yeah, a lot of people say about he moved it. We'll talk a little bit more about him later. I want to talk about another fella that was a friend of yours, Packy East.
Oh, God, you're going to start that, huh?
Yeah, so people that you don't know who Packy East is, do you? Okay, well, that's him. Tell him what you were doing as Packy East.
No, I boxed. I guess you'd call it boxing. But I did box when I was young, and I belonged to the YMCA and started there. Huh? Then I went around with a fella called Whitey Jennings who went down, registered in the Ohio State Final boxing tournament as Packy West. So I stole down the next day and registered as Packy East, just for the gang, you know.
Yeah.
And fought, and I fought. I was pretty good. I was always on the level. I used a lot of routines about that. I said I fought under the name of Rembrandt Hope. I was on the canvas so much. And I would have won my last fight, but the referee stepped on my hand.
Just think what could have happened if you were a champion. You would have lost that nose.
Oh, I don't know. How do you think I got this one?
Where did the Bob Hope traveling overseas to the troops start? It would have to have been World War II, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I was listening to your radio shows.
You don't think World War I, do you?
You know, could be. A lot of people hide a lot of things, Bob. No, World War II, I guess it was probably accident and the war and things. I mean, it certainly wasn't. Was it on purpose that you actually went out to do your radio shows?
No, it was because my producer, in 1941, about May, we were broadcasting from Sunset and Vine in Hollywood. And doing very well. Our ratings were good, you know, and he said, why don't you go down to March Field, which was an Air Force base at Riverside, California. And I said, what for? We're doing great here. And he said, but they want to see you down there. And a great audience, And I said, gee, I didn't know he had a brother down there in the service. And the next thing I knew, I found myself on a bus with all the gang going right down there with Jerry Colonna, you know, and Francis Langford. And the audience turned out to be so fantastic. We said, we got to do this every week. And the sponsor said, yeah, do it, because he could realize the potential, you know, from that, the audience. And so we did. And then in December, of course, the war broke out, December 41. Then it became dramatic. And we did it for 5 straight years in camps and bases all around the world.
I remember that. I still, to this day, remember that opening line. Not a lot of people would, I guess. You always used to say, hi, this is Bob broadcasting from Hickam Field, Hawaii, Hope. You always put the name of the place in between.
Or this is Bob Pepsodent Hope, living by the skin of your teeth.
Right, yes.
That's one of the lines.
Speaking of living by the skin of your teeth, we got to take a commercial break. You don't mind, do you?
Okay, why not? Get the money.
Okay, we got to get the money. We'll be back. Don't you go away.
Just the right size and just the right price. 4 letters.
Whip.
That's the voice. Graham Lyle and all the rest of the Channel 9 boys. Woo! They're, by the way, Bob Hope picked it up right away. Said, it's a Les Brown number. That was your band. Les Brown and his band, The Renown, for years, right?
We had a lot of that number. He's coming down here to do a show. Top television show, Les Brown, yeah.
Oh, we'll have to get him on here. These boys are available, by the way, you know, Bob.
Oh, they're good. They're good.
We've been plugging it for weeks. They decided to go out on their own, and they've emptied halls all over the country.
They're good.
Really good music.
Damn good.
I want to talk to you about the women you've worked with, from a very jealous man.
Yeah.
Some of the most beautiful ones in the world.
It's my work.
Well, don't lay down on the job. We have Dorothy Lamour. Let's talk about them. This lady, Dorothy Lamour. She was a singer at the #1 Fifth Avenue when you first saw her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And turned out to be the third party, I suppose, in all the road pictures.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And Bing and I used to ad lib right in front of it. What was this?
Jill St. John.
Yeah, I love it. God
How do you forget them so fast? Wait a
I
minute.
can't, but just looking at this makes me tired.
You know? Who's this here? Arlene Dahl.
Arlene Dahl.
Yes. Very beautiful lady. I didn't know her hair was that red. I didn't know your hair was that blue. What happened?
What is that?
I have no idea. Must be in the coloring. Now this lady. Jane Russell.
Yeah.
What do you remember most about Jane Russell?
Oh, what would you remember?
Yeah, well, I figured you were going to say that anyway. So here's one. Look at this. Now, she was married to a famous comedian. A lot of
Charlie
people
Chaplin.
Yeah, Charlie
Paulette
Chaplin.
Goddard.
Paulette Goddard, yes. And this was the Cat and
Could be the Cat and Canary or the Ghost Breakers. I did about 3 or 4 pictures with her. Nothing but the truth. And
I didn't know you did more than one with her. I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Was that right?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was like one of those mystery comedies.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't see a lot of anymore. We got anybody else? One more. Oh, well, how could you not know who that is? Lucille.
yeah, Lucille Ball. I did 4 pictures with her.
I was once watching you two rehearse, and I saw you getting a little bit of an argument about something. You grabbed her by the collar, and she said you were choking her, and you said, "No, I'm not, dear. I'm just grabbing you by the collar." And I was watching you shoot at General Service Studios. You did a movie over there one time.
Right. Was that her studio?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It was the Desilu.
Oh, Desilu, no, it was
They had their
Desilu,
own
yeah.
studio, you know, and she was, they owned the studio.
Yeah,
She produced Facts of Life. And it's the first time I ever kissed a producer on the lips.
And enjoyed it. All right, those are all the beautiful women in your life, but there's a woman in your life she is a terrific favorite of ours. She always comes in on the show, and we have great fun with her. Phyllis Diller, who isn't really the most beautiful woman in the world.
No, I've known her through 3 faces.
Have you?
And she gets prettier, doesn't she, with every
Yes,
operation?
she certainly does. It's amazing.
But she's had a lot of work done. In fact, the last time she had her face lifted, the doctor took the anesthetic.
What do you think about that, madam?
It's not true.
He doesn't know this is going to happen, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, from our studios in Los Angeles by satellite, Phyllis Diller. There you go. She can't see you. Phyllis, unfortunately for Mr. Hope, we can see you. You can't see him.
She's
Well,
lucky.
it's unfortunate
Yes.
that you can see me.
Who do you think got the break?
Well, it's too early. It's the middle of the morning over here. I can't get up this early.
Well,
I
listen.
throw up till noon.
This is your time, baby.
What do you think of this guy, Phyllis?
Well, he's the best.
Yeah, you've got an oil portrait of him in your house. I noticed a picture one time. Huh?
Tell him.
Would you believe I asked for an 8x10 glossy, and he gave me a 9x12 foot canvas
And tell him what room you put it in.
in the Bob Hope Salon.
How long have you known each other, you two?
Phyllis, I don't know. I think we've known each other about, what, 20 or something like that?
A quarter of a century.
Is that true? We made
Oh, yeah,
3
from Lotus
pictures.
Gardens.
Where?
Lotus Gardens,
Oh,
Washington,
my-
D.C.
Yes, in Washington. Right.
What
was that, Lotus Gardens?
Well, she was playing there, and I was in Washington doing a show for Truman. And after the show, I said, say, Phyllis Diller, this gal is playing over here at the Lotus Gardens. I want to go see her. I was with a friend of mine called Ben Gimbel, and we went over there, and she didn't know it. And we sat behind a pole, and there were about 3 people in the audience, you know. Now, it was the last show at night, and you know how you feel, a comedian working for 3 people, or a comedian, anybody.
Yeah, sure.
And
That's
so when she finished, she was sneaking out of the place, and I yelled, Phyllis, hello. And she said, oh, my God.
She recognized you.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah, right. I'm sorry.
I
Nobody else
wasn't that
heard it
big.
except you.
I was big, but not that big. No, but she, you know how you feel to have somebody walk in when you're doing a supper show like she was. And we became fast friends after that.
Yes. He sort of made a career out of insulting you, Phyllis.
Out of what?
Insulting you. Oh, I'm making jokes about you, I think.
Oh, yes, he's got the greatest jokes. I love best the one where he says the peeping Tom threw up on my windowsill.
Thank you, Phyllis. I was just going to use that. Thank you very much. She looks better now than she did last night. I tell you something, she's the most marvelous gal. We were at a luncheon for Ida Mayer Cummings, a memorial luncheon at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And Phyllis was there with her plastic surgeon sitting between, well, Phyllis was on one side of her, and I was on the other side of her plastic surgeon. And she was sitting there looking beautiful, you know. And this woman walked up to the table and looked at Phyllis and said, "My God, you look wonderful. You look 17. And I turned to her surgeon and I said, "Do you think you've gone too far?"
You're the only one I know, Phyllis, takes a plastic surgeon with her everywhere. What are you afraid in case something happens? Quick, you can do something.
If things
That's
get
right.
dull, he takes the divots, you know.
Do you ever use any lines on him, Phyllis?
Of course I do.
Yes?
Well, you know, when I was in movies with him, I used to call him my leading man, Cary Grant with a laugh track.
How many movies you do together?
We did 3 movies.
Yeah?
Bob, tell them my bra size.
No, I'm doing that in my act here. Will you stop doing my regular jokes? I do a whole thing on you. You know that. And I said, Phyllis, you got a great sense of humor. Somebody asked her bra size the other day, and she said 32 long.
Phyllis, thank you very much, my love, for joining us. I really appreciate you doing this. What time did you have to get up to get ready to get... Oh, you didn't get ready. What time did you have to get up?
You didn't have time to get ready, did you, baby?
Listen, they said they'd have a makeup person here. I come here, it's a woman with a trowel and some putty.
Beautiful. Beautiful, darling.
Wait a minute. Those are the Channel 9 studios over there. There's never anybody there late at night. Is that you there all on your own?
They're here today with a surgeon.
Yes? Well, say goodbye to your friend, and say goodbye to us, and say goodbye to Australia, and I thank you for joining us, kid. You're terrific.
Ah, yes. Goodbye, Don. Goodbye, Bob.
Goodbye, darling.
Okay.
Dolores sends her love to you.
Yes.
We'll see you out here soon, Philip. Bye. It's a pleasure, huh? See what I mean? We hook up everywhere. Just easy.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Isn't that great?
Yeah, we get him out 3 o'clock in the morning. She's still sitting there. Look at this. She's not going to leave. She's going to stay in here the rest of the show.
She probably just came home from the Wax Museum.
I got a feeling we play a little music, there could be something in order here, whipping off that robe or something and doing some kind of a dance there.
She
Anyway.
looks great.
Yeah, she does. Looks terrific. Really lovely stuff. We better take a commercial break.
You ought to work in the middle of the night all the time, baby. You look marvelous.
We said goodbye. That's worse than a telephone. She won't hang up, right? Well, you two chat. We're going to take a commercial break. I don't care what anybody else does. We'll be back with more Bob Hope. You having a good time? Bye. Stay here for another year. That's all right. Till the Thursday.
You pay this audience?
Hey, actually, he keeps inquiring about the studio audience because he doesn't think they
You get paid, don't you? You must get paid. You're
No,
so
we're going
good.
to take care of you. I'll tell you, it's wonderful to see
You're
this
so
many
good.
people tonight. I didn't think this many people remembered you, Bob. I want you to meet 2 young kids, okay?
All right.
One is named Jane Scully, and she started on a show here called Young Talent Time, and she's gradually worked her way up, and she's becoming one of the really fine singers and performers. And tonight we've teamed her up with another kid, a kid named John St. Peters, who also... Huh? Somebody say something? No. John St. Peters. And John, is a composer and a singer and a piano player and a pop artist and so forth. We teamed the two of them up because we thought it would be nice. The song is You and I. If you know the duet, you'll already know what the song is. But give him a nice greeting, will you? As Mr. Hope would say, Jane Scully, John St. Peters, right here.
Just you and I, sharing our love together. And I know in time we'll build the dreams we treasure. We'll be alright. Just you and I. Just you and I.
Just you and I.
Sharing our love together. And I know in time.
And I know in time.
We'll build the dreams we treasure. We'll be alright. Just you and I. I remember our first embrace, that smile that was on your face, the promises that we made. Ooh. Now your love is my reward, and I love you even more than I ever did before. Just you and I.
Just you and I.
We care and trust each other. With you in my life,
With you in my life,
there'll never be another. We'll be alright. Just you and I. We made it, you and I.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yes, lovely. Isn't it nice?
Pretty,
Because I was saying to...
Pretty.
I was saying in the break, it's amazing.
I mean the song.
Yeah.
No, it's nice, really.
Yes. It's amazing the amount of talent that is produced in this country when you consider how many people are out here, both not only in show business but athletically as well. You know,
You don't know where talent is coming from anywhere in the world. You know, you've had so much great talent here in Australia.
Yes.
Olivia Newton-John. And
She's one of your favorite ladies, Olivia.
Glad did a lot of shows with me, Olivia Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's marvelous. Just great.
And all the groups over there. Now it seems to become the byword. If they're Australian groups, everybody gets excited.
Right. That's right.
Listen, I have a fella that I've been working with on this show now. Sometimes it's a toss-up. I don't know if he's working with me or I'm working for him. But we've been partners for a pretty long time now. This is about 8.5 years. We're sort of what do we call ourselves? We're the poor man's road show, you know, Hope and Crosby. But we've got a lot of love for each other, and this guy is terrific. He's probably one of the biggest names in television ever here. He's the only man I know. How many has he won? 2 Gold Logies or 3? How many was it, Bert?
3.
3. He won 3. Bert Newton, everybody. Say hello. John Lane, what's your name?
Yeah, okay, that's it. Now, Phillip, right?
It's nice to meet you eventually, Bob.
Great to see you.
You two would have worked together on the Logie Awards or something. You did it one day by satellite or something.
Yeah, we're satellite buddies. I've known Bert for a long while. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him in person.
We always talk by radio. I'm a radio program
right,
here in
yeah.
Melbourne.
Right.
Last night I went to the concert, just saying to one of the girls backstage a few moments ago, Bob, I've seen most of the performers who've come over here to Australia, but last night at that concert hall, which has, of course, so many pleasant memories for me, I bombed there one night.
You got it. He hosted a show one night, and he went out to start talking, and nothing worked. The lips stuck together, and the mouth was trying to talk, and nothing. It never happens to him, but you know, I guess all of us at one time or another have had that happen.
Yeah. So last night,
He
all
won't
of a
admit to
sudden,
it, see that?
everything was admonished. Just seeing you stand there on stage, it was quite an experience. And I believe, Bob, that you said yourself after the show that both here in Melbourne and also in Queensland, that it has been a unique experience for you.
It's an amazing experience, you know. These people here, I finish my show with Thanks for the Memory. I do buttons and bows, you know, after doing an hour. And then I do introduce somebody, and then I come back and do Thanks for the Memory and do a lot of gags. And then finish. Well, they've had about an hour and 15 minutes, and that's my finish of my act. And I walked to my dressing room, and the fella came in running into my dressing room and said, "Come back, they're still applauding." See?
Oh, wow.
That's a new thing for me, so I came back. And I had to think, what the hell will I talk about now? So I went out and told a few more jokes and went back and said, "Thank you, you're wonderful," and left again. And they came back again. And I came back and say, "You mean you haven't got enough for your money?" And I had to do some more. And that's a new experience for me. That's only happened a couple times. It happened one time up in the Gold Coast when I was up there. And one time before in, where was it? Somewhere, Carnoustie, Scotland. I booked Carnoustie in the town hall there just so I could play golf there because Hogan had just won the championship. And that happened there. I finished my act, went to my room. I was in the room a minute and a half, and the manager came by and says, "Come on, you got to take a bow." And I walked out. The people are still sitting there going. I said, "What do you want?" They said, "Do it again." Do it again.
You know, Bob, a lot of people remember your early tour here in, 1953, 54, I think it was.
52, I think.
52,
Yeah.
over 30 years ago. But a lot of people wouldn't realise that Bob was first here during the Second World War, and it wasn't a scheduled visit, was it?
No, it certainly wasn't. Well, the stop we made wasn't a scheduled thing. You know, we were supposed to come for 3 days here for a rest before going to New Guinea. But we left Brisbane, and I was flying this Navy Catalina. I wasn't supposed to be flying it.
Oh, I didn't know.
The pilot was back talking to the girls, and I was flying the thing. And this one motor started to sputter, and he came running up. He said, "Get out of there." And I slipped under that bar, and he feathered the prop, and he said, "Everybody brace themselves because we got to make a landing in this lake down here." He didn't want to hit the waves on account of they were pretty high. So he landed in the lake at Laurieton. It wasn't a regular Pan Am stop, you know. He landed, and Kelowna got out on the wing and sang, "Oh, I love life." They had this thing, and a fella in a rowboat rowed out from the shore.
Yeah.
And we're all standing on the wing kissing each other because we're still alive.
Yeah.
And this fella looked up, he said, "Have you got any American cigarettes there?" We said, "Hell yeah," we threw him all the cigarettes he wanted. And stayed there that night. And of course, it went out all over the world that we crash landed in Laurieton, Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And my family heard about it. I was out of circulation we all were out of circulation for about 12 hours. 14
We've got some newsreel coverage here because, of course, back in those years, pre-television, most news was heard on radio, and then a couple of days later you saw it in your local movie theatre, and this is what we saw in Australia.
The dome is verboten to the general public, but aircraft workers were there with their autograph books. Hope springs eternal. A regular fellow, and the world's top-ranking comedian today, barring a few German headliners, of course. With him are Francis Langford, Tony Romano, Patty Thomas, Barney Dean, and Jerry Colonna, the lad with the soulful searchlights. They are fresh in from the Solomon Islands. Bob says he has an uncle there. Film stars are as rare in Australia as no voters in a Labour League. So they begin by being mobbed and stay that way. Contain yourself, Blondie. You'll never get a lock of his hair. And if the blonde failed, you'll get your hope.
I want you to meet the entire party. Here's Miss Frances Langford. Frances, get up. Won't you say a word here for the boys?
Well, I don't have much to say, Bob, except we've had an exciting time, and the boys have been so wonderful to us.
It has been marvelous,
Yes.
hasn't it?
You know that last island where we were?
Yes,
One of the boys took me out on the target range.
He did really?
Uh-huh.
Is that
He
right?
put his arm around me and showed me how to hold a rifle.
Oh, he did, huh?
He put his arm around me again and showed me how to aim it.
Second time, huh?
Yes.
Oh, fine.
And he kept his arm around me for half an hour and showed me exactly how to fire it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we were going to try it again tomorrow with a rifle.
Yeah. Here's a man here that I know you love in the radio and pictures. The fellow's been doing a tremendous job, Mr. Jerry Colonna. Would you step up, Jerry? There he is. How are you, Brushmush? How do you feel?
I'm fine. I'm in the pink.
You're in the pink,
Yes,
huh?
I left the blue ones in the laundry.
You did. Isn't that a beautiful jungle? Look at this. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Careful, careful.
Huh?
Snipers.
I just want to tell you that we're very thrilled to be here, and we really came for a rest and a bath. They have baths here, do they not? Which way? We'll lead you to it right away. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Do you have that in your collection at all? Well, we'll give you that. That's a present.
Thank you. Well, I'll take it.
Bob, beaut spot, isn't it? Beautiful. And you haven't got that at home.
Isn't that funny? That's when I used to dye my hair.
You had a look then at Jerry Colonna, and I just heard you say very quietly to yourself, "Dear Jerry." Now, the news is, I believe, that he's not very well.
No, he isn't, but he's still with us, and, we're just all hoping that he's all right.
By gosh, he did some tours with you. You must be very, very close friends.
Yeah, I saw him just about 2 weeks ago, and he's coming along pretty good.
That's good. Of course, the partnership for which we all remember, yourself and another gentleman, is the road pictures. And the intriguing thing is, you talk about Abbott and Costello and Martin and Lewis and great comedy teams, but I can't think of any other occasion where two major stars as singles have come together as a team and have proved they've got a special chemistry. I'm darned if I can. And when that first road picture hit, from what I read, you and Bing had a lot of fun, but no one expected it to really take off as it did. And
That's right.
gosh, at the end of all those roads, there was just a magnificent rapport and a magnificent friendship came through on the screen.
Well, Bing was a great talent, He was not only a great comedian, but he also knew how to feed you, And that was part of my racket, too, because a comedian, and I mean a comedian, not a comic, but a comedian knows how to feed another fella. Like, I don't know, I've never seen you two work together, so I can't really...
You've been lucky so far, Bob.
But it's true.
It is
you
true.
know that.
Well, the straight man has to know the comedy, doesn't he? Just as well as the comic himself.
That's right.
Bob, Hope and Bing Crosby as a team, on screen, great. Obviously, off screen, tremendous too. And it must hurt you, Bob, to read some of the books which have been written about Bing.
Well, I think that's a lot of con. Really, I do, Bert, because, lately you'll notice that that's a provocative habit that's gone on for money. Like they did it to Joan Crawford. They did it to President Eisenhower. And now there's been two books, The Hollow Man, and then this book that Bing's son wrote, And all I want to say is that it doesn't pay to go I'm not going.
You're not going?
No, it's true. And I told my kids, I said, I want you to write the book now so I can figure out my will.
Beautiful. Let's see, not from a road picture, but from a film called The Great Lover in 1949. We're doing it to you. Let's see some of that magic between Bing Crosby and Bob Hope.
I know. Don't phone us. We'll phone you.
Don't race your motor, Diplomat. I booked a date for us. We're going to be eating again.
Kidding. That's good news for the mice. Now we can quit stealing their cheese. I'm so hungry my pucker won't puck.
Well, my waistline was practically back to normal.
Which one? Where are we playing?
Johnson's Mammoth Carnival.
Oh, the seals couldn't make it, huh?
What a setup. We run the gamut. We sing, we dance, we recite, and then
You do your specialty. Oh, I'll blow them out of the joint.
well, this is a little different. This is a novelty act.
What kind of novelty?
All you have to do is ride a bicycle.
What kind of bicycle?
It's a regulation bicycle, standard equipment. Oxyacetylene lamp, new departure coaster brake.
Do I ride it fast?
Slower the better.
No hands, huh?
No, that's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I know. That's not the Great Lover.
Road to Rio.
That's the Road to Rio. That is the Road to Rio.
Tell, I want you to tell Bert. This afternoon, we were over at the hotel. We were sitting talking together, and you told me about you and Bing when you do in Hong Kong, Road to Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
England. And,
Yeah.
And they had the
Yeah,
scene.
we did, I was telling Don, we did Road to Hong Kong in England, and we were living in Ascot.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at the Shepperton Studio, and we did one scene in Road to Hong Kong, it's still in the picture, where we were in a harem, and the gals were feeding us grapes and doing our fingernails, you know, and we're laying down like this. And I said to the director, I said, why don't you have one of the girls give me a pedicure? See?
Nice business.
So he took my sock off, and I put it up there, and she was painting my toenails all day. And it came about 5 o'clock. He said, that's all today. And I rushed over to Wentworth. I used to go over and play 9 holes at Wentworth before I went home. And I played real fast, went around, and I was kind of in a hurry to get home, so I walked in the locker room. There was a guy sitting across from me, and I took off my sock, and he looked at it. He saw my toenails. And he looked at me, then he thought. Like, is he one, you know? And I didn't have time to say anything, so I went out. Now, a couple of weeks later, we did the thing where I came back from the moon, and they were honoring us in a parade and throwing confetti on us all day.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, I went over to Wentworth again. I ran over, and I played fast, 9 holes, but I was very hot that day, so I took a shower. And I walked in the shower room, and there were 2 Scotchmen toweling themselves off. They'd played 104 holes or something. And I took off my shorts, and confetti fell out. So around that club, I was known as the guy with red toenails and confetti.
What a reputation.
So he really knows how to party, boy. Confetti in his
That's a
shorts,
true
yeah.
story.
Bob, you were going to make one more road picture, and
Yep,
then, of course,
that's
Bing
right.
passed away.
Road to the
You
Fountain
wouldn't,
of Youth.
yeah, you wouldn't consider making one with anybody else?
We thought of doing it, and in fact, the producer, Mel Frank, wanted George Burns to do it. But it was so much Crosby, you know, that they'd have to fix it a lot, you know. And they're still talking about it. It would be great if they could do it, because the thing was the Road to the Fountain of Youth, and it's a pretty funny idea. But it all kind of had bits from the other pictures, the other road pictures, and I don't know whether it would work.
George is what, 5 years older than you?
No, 7, thank you. 87,
Well,
he
should
called...
be grateful I found somebody.
No, but he's the only guy I know who calls me kid. No, he's wonderful.
Yeah, the big celebration which you have yet to see was just on in America, the 80th birthday.
Oh, wonderful
Yes, at the
reports about
Kennedy
it.
Center. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Tremendous stars there. Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Big turnout, and you were sitting with the First Lady. And
I was sitting in the audience with the president, you know, in the box. And a funny thing, when we walked in the box, there were 2 chairs, and one had America's #1 man in there, and the other said washed-up actor. And I'll tell you, we fought over there.
Of course, you and Ronald Reagan go back a long, long way, don't you, Bob?
We do.
Very close friends.
Yeah, we're very close friends. We've been back to back on the Late Show so long. We're very.
Do you think he'll make it for a second term?
Well, I'm pretty sure because you know how actors like sequels. You know that.
Yes.
And he's I think he'll go again because every time a Democratic presidential candidate comes out, his hair gets darker.
The thing is, of course, about you, Bob, you don't need to make a sequel because you've always been with us. And this is not just an open plug for the remaining concerts that you're doing, because most of them, I think, are sold out or pretty close to
another
sold out.
one down here. He's got
Yeah,
Sunday night
Sunday
and
and
Monday
Monday.
night down here. Here's the other one. Sydney Entertainment Center. It's a small, intimate setting there. You're doing
By the way,
3,500 people.
By the way, that's the most beautiful place I've ever seen.
Bert, and our producer who's not here, he was in England. He heard you were coming. Our producer's in England. They produced the opening of that entertainment center, which was one of the greatest spectaculars on television here ever.
Beautiful.
The great thing is, too, Bob, you can do anything you want with it. You know, you can open it up and have 10,000 people there, 3,000 people or whatever, and it's got the facilities of any great complex in the world, all in the one area.
I love that theater. That's a very beautiful place, I tell you.
I was just going to say that I didn't want to make this rap from my part sound like a commercial for the concerts, but I just want to say sincerely on behalf of Don and myself and everybody in Australia, especially the people who have the opportunity of seeing you live, there's a very special warmth and a very special feeling that I felt engendered last night between yourself and the audience, the likes of which I've never seen before, and I don't think that I'll see it again. It's impossible for the whole of Australia to see you live, but on their behalves, and also on the behalf of Don and myself, and with the boys of the band and some things on screen, we'd like to reverse the situation and say to you, thanks for the memory.
Bert, that's nice. Thank you.
That's good.
There they are.
Brothers?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Starving to death. Did my first act.
Burn and Hope?
Hope and Durban.
Hope and Durban.
That was the first act.
There's Dolores?
Whoops.
Ethel Merman?
Ethel Merman. She was very ill, by the way.
Oh, that's a shame. Look at that nose. It got smaller.
There's Judy Garland, Skinny Ennis, Mickey Rooney.
Right.
There's Judy again.
Is that Judy?
Yeah. There's the Colgate Comedy Hour moving out.
That's what kept that smile in business, kid.
That's Margaret Whiting, isn't it, Bob?
I think so, yeah. Right.
There's Les Brown and Doris Day.
Yeah, the best singer ever.
There are the kids and Dolores.
Yeah.
There she is. That's the lady. She sings with you now on stage, right?
Sure.
Kids again. A little older. The family unit.
Now there's a rare picture.
Hosting the ladies. Oh, the Oscars. Jack Benny. Jimmy Durante.
Jimmy Durante.
There we go.
And then we started off on the road. There's President Kennedy with your special award.
Stuart Symington.
And royalty again. And there's the man for whom we do say, thanks for the memory.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be back to say goodbye to Bob Hope. Don't you go away. A lady came up and Teresa came up and gave you a rose.
Yes.
Very nice,
yes.
And a rose by any other name.
Isn't that pretty?
Yes.
That is the first time that sponsor has given anything to anyone.
That's true. That's right.
You should feel honored, Bob. They're wonderful, wonderful people, I might mention. I was only joking. It's the truth.
Come pretty close to the bone here sometimes. We gotta worry. Thanks very much. When does the tour end now? You finish up in Sydney. Is that the last one?
We finish up Monday here. We go back to Sydney tomorrow for 2 days, and then we come back here for 2 days. Then we go to Honolulu and play a little golf.
Sunday night. He had the pleasure of seeing you last night. I'm going Sunday night because I wanted to meet you first. I'm going to be there Sunday night, and I'll see you, and I'll stop back later and say hello. Got something for you and Dolores. thought you might like these, you know, just to be able to wear them around. There are a couple of Advanced Australia things. You see those? Are there?
Yeah.
Hey, nice?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
nice. I like that.
There's one for you.
Thank you.
And one,
Marvelous. You know, when my agent told me I was going down under, I thought he was talking about my career, but this kind of builds everything. We'll wear these in Palm Springs.
Well, I'll tell you something. This guy and myself will be talking about this moment for a very, very long time. And
Well, it's great to meet Bert. I've known Bert for a long time, and it's a kick to meet you, I'll tell you that.
It's a pleasure. Next time
Especially-
you come back, you got to promise me you'll let me dance with you once.
All right, sure.
Or teach me a step or two, will you?
All right.
Bob, make no promises.
On behalf of everybody,
Thank you, Don.
I thank you.
Thank
You're the
you.
best,
Thank
mate.
you
Thank you
very
very, very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Bob.
Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Don't go away.